So we're now talking to some of the guys from Occupy Midian. Hello, guys. How are you?
Great.
Fine.
Good. How are y'all?
Very well, thank you. So let's talk a little bit how this got started then. What was your first interaction with the group, with the whole movement?
I guess Mad Monster Party is the event kind of where it all got started. Crystal, you were there with me for that one. I mean, we were not together, but we were both.
Yeah, we hadn't met yet, so to speak.
Yeah. So I had Jose and I had started this podcast in January, and I thought, okay, I'm going to fly out to Charlotte, North Carolina, to go see this screening of Nightbreed, because I know I had missed the Horror Hound screening, and I really wanted to, and I thought that was a once in a lifetime chance to see all that extra footage, so I wanted to see that again. So I bought the tickets, and as things were kind of going by, we started to learn that this wasn't the same thing as Horror Hound. They had actually put together a real movie. Horror Hound was they just took the footage from those tapes and strung them all together.
Yeah, so we hear. So what was your first reaction when you saw the Cabal Cut as it was then?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah. I got chills just watching it.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal.
I should clarify that I'm the only person here who hasn't watched the Cabal Cut yet.
Oh, no.
Much to my, regrets. But,
you've got a great treat coming to you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But, I'm planning on going. I was just telling them about the Manchester screening. I was thinking about going, but there are some things on, personal matters here. There maybe I will not be able to be there, but I'll do my best.
Well, it's doing the rounds until January, so they say. So you've got some more time to catch it.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be on Sri Lanka too, and Mexico. Who knows?
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Next time I go to the grocery store, I might stop by Sri Lanka and watch the movie.
Oh, why not? Yeah. There are no plans to screen it in Portugal then at the moment? Or?
Well, we're still working on it. There's this festival. There's a film festival called Fantasporto, which I've been in touch with the directors of the festival, and I've sent Russell Charrington a PDF. What do you call it? An inscription.
An application.
Application. Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
An application. So really, if we can deliver that until December, so the directors of the festival say, hey, I'm up for that if you guys are sending me that stuff. So I'll try to get Russell to work on that application and see what happens. So it would be nice to have it on February of next year in Portugal. That would be great. I mean, we have a long tradition with Fantasporto of premiering Clive Barker movies here, and they've actually brought Doug Bradley to Portugal like 3 or 4 times, and they've even screened movies by Fraser Lee, who worked with Doug Bradley as well, doing On Edge and Red Lines. So they've been on Fantasporto too. So who knows? Maybe we can make this happen. It's just a matter of delivering that application on time.
Okay,
well,
cool.
Good luck with that.
And how come you were there, Crystal, at the initial screening?
Honestly, my fiance has loved the movie forever, and he introduced me to it, and we happened to see that it was only 2.5 hours away. We had a free weekend, so we went down to see it.
Okay, cool.
And so how did you get involved in the whole Occupy Midian movement then?
I was really moved by Ann Bobby's speech about the Occupy Midian, and I actually went and created my own blog, was going to try to bring more notice to the film, and got on Facebook and noticed they'd started their own Occupy Midian group, and I asked to join, and they allowed me, and everything else just kind of fell into place.
Okay, so you kind of got into it through your fiance, and then you loved it yourself when you saw it.
Oh yes, absolutely loved it.
And Ryan, can I ask you, how did you get involved? Did you just start it up unofficially, or did you get involved with them first to ask their permission to do it, or how did that work for you?
It was kind of a little bit of both. I mean, so I was sort of, how you guys kind of do the same thing. I had a little field recorder, And, in the line to get autographs, I did a little interview with Craig Sheffer and Ann Bobby, and they sort of offhandedly, Craig Sheffer had said, hey, if they don't allow this to get put on DVD, people are going to occupy Morgan Creek. And then Ann Bobby said, Occupy Midian. And then she's like, oh my God, that's a really good idea. And I said, you heard it here first. And she said, no, it was my idea. So that's kind of where the name came from. And then later, I think she told Russell and Mark that in the bar that same night. And so, then I called up, I was Facebook chatting with Jose and Roger. And they got, and I said, hey, this, I think this name is really good. I think that we all kind of agreed that we should run with this. And Roger started the Facebook group, and we all started sort of madly adding every single person that we could think of. And it just kept on going exponentially from there.
Yes, indeed. We also got the Twitter started. We got a Gmail going, and we got the petition written and posted.
On
did that part petitions. And so it was basically just we just thought, well, let's use social media. So we were like, let's see, what we can do here. And I think by the time we had finished adding our friends that we knew were Clive Barker fans to the group, we might have had already like 100 people there, right? I mean, I know that most of my Facebook friends are Clive Barker fans that I know from, previous online forums and stuff like that. So we just started adding everybody, and we Well,
we did talk to Russell and Mark, and we made them admins right away, so that it would be an official movement. And I think that's helped us a lot. If it had just been a fan movement, it might have fizzled out in the beginning.
Yeah, because Ryan knows Mark Miller, they're actually friends, so it was easy to get in touch with them and get their contacts and get this thing going.
That's great. I mean, I guess it's in the modern world, the kind of social media we've got now. It's so kind of easy to do this. Can you imagine back in the day where you guys would just be on a forum talking about it?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, okay, we're trying to get something going, but who would hear it?
Yeah, and that's not that long. It's not that long far back, like even 5 years ago,
No.
Well, in 2009, they tried to do this same thing. And there's a petition that has 900 signatures on it out there, and then we had another member that just came up and said, hey guys, I started a petition in 2009, and he had one with 300 signatures on it.
Yeah.
So it's just it's amazing how much more you can do now. I don't know how much of it is luck and how much of it is all the work that we put into it.
I think it was just doing the right thing at the right time.
Yeah.
It's a combination of factors that, when the tapes were discovered in 2009 and they were announced and screened by Revelations, Phil and Sarah Stokes, who are, wonderful people who run this beautiful website. I keep in touch with them regularly, and immediately they were like, hey, let's please send us emails saying how much you want to watch this movie and how much you want it to be released, and send it on Twitter and on email. And so people were sending Revelations all these things that they actually compiled on a long page in their website. But unfortunately, it didn't go very far because I guess that there wasn't the whole mechanism behind it of screenings and everything to promote it more. Yeah. And at the time, Russell Charrington hadn't gotten a hold of the footage yet. So I think he started working on the Cabal Cut in 2010. So it just kind of fizzled out for a bit because, the last word on Morgan Creek was, well, we can't find the footage. So, and they allowed it to be screened at Horrifying. Horror Hound, was it Horror Hound, right?
Yeah, Horror Hound
and Weekend, right?
And they kind of decided that was not. I mean, that was not the best way to screen the movie. It wasn't a really good experience, I guess.
I guess they still had the lead-in reels in the in the actual footage, right? So the movie was always being interrupted by that. So, but then of course Russell Charrington stepped into the picture and he got that Cabal cut going, and of course this made it more appealing. This immediately made it more appealing for fans to watch. Yeah. So I guess the Mad Monster Party is the real reason. Yeah. And of course Ryan being there was the real reason to come back with the whole Occupy Midian name that Ann Bobby came up with, and we were like, well, let's get it started then. So.
And those people, the Mad Monster Party convention people, contacted Mark and said, hey, I remember you guys did that screening at Horror Hound. We want to show that too. And they said, you know what, we actually have something even better. And the people at Mad Monster Party called Morgan Creek and asked if it was okay to show the screening, to do the screening for the Cabal Cut, which they'd never heard of before, and they got permission. And from then, for a while, every event had to get individual permission to screen the movie.
Yeah.
All right. And is that still the case now, or is it
they gave them permission to screen it as much as they want.
Right, so it's now Mark and Russell who have the say where it gets shown?
Yes, but they have to be there, so that's the caveat. So they can't distribute it or show it theatrically like you would a normal movie.
Right. Okay. Right.
Well, I think that the reason they have to be there, too, is because this is a movie that has to be properly contextualized and introduced.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can just immediately sit down and say, well, I'm going to have a cinematic experience.
Well, it's one for the fans, isn't it? Because, you, as we said in our recent podcast, you couldn't sit down as a normal person, and just kind of watch it, normal guy, and just kind of watch it and go, oh, yeah, that's good. You'd be like, well...
If you have the little introduction with Russell saying, all right, guys, it's going to go into, as he calls it, porno quality every now and again. Then once you've got that, then you think, okay, that's fine. I can deal with that. And then you do, and you completely buy into it and you believe it, and it's a wonderful experience.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
But there's an issue now to sort of get the film restored, I guess, or are there, is there film at Morgan Creek?
Yes. Have you heard of any further finding the actual film?
No.
To get these bits put back in.
No, but we also don't think that they're trying very hard. Or at least that's kind of the hope, that it exists somewhere and that they're just... Right. Yeah.
We were discussing that in our last episode of the Clive Barker podcast, and I think I was the most angry and vocal one about this. I was like, how is it possible that a movie disappears like this? All the negatives, all the elements, all the special effects, composite shots, all that stuff has to be somewhere. Yeah. It just can't have simply vanished from the face of the earth. So I'm thinking that as the process moves along, that maybe at one point they're going to be like, well, we're going to release this, so let's just go in and see what we can find. Because I'm imagining that Morgan Creek doesn't have the movie, but probably 20th Century Fox has it. I don't know. I mean,
well, yeah, I'd say. I mean, but I saw recently about on the Blade Runner thing, they almost chucked out all the Blade Runner stuff. I think.
Yeah.
And that became
last time.
Yeah, and that was a super successful film.
If it's a case of them, they can't be bothered to look for it, then surely, they could give Mark and Russell permission to go down into their archives, and they would happily spend, a fortnight looking through all the stuff, looking for it.
Yes. And it may be more likely that it's at 20th Century Fox rather than at Morgan Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so there's sort of two paths that the movie can take, right? I mean, one is if they never find the footage, then they have to bake the tapes, the VHS tapes, and they can get the absolute best quality version of that footage that they can, but you do it once and you play it once and it's gone. So they have to, record it at that point, and then they make that version of the movie. Or if they're going to start all over again, if somebody finds the footage, and I think they're hoping that happens too, so they don't want to invest all the money in restoring this version if the film elements still exist somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
So it's like $100,000, I think, to restore the version that we have right now.
Right.
I think it's around that. I think Russell has mentioned once or twice that the estimated amount would be around $150,000. So I don't know how that breaks down. But the fact is that I think this might not be crowdfunded after all, because there are talks being done with actual people interested in producing the restoration. So for now, I'm going to let Russell announce that. But there are people interested in producing this. So
yeah, and if people are like, why aren't you doing a Kickstarter? I mean, they had planned to do that, but that's why.
Yeah.
And just for the people out there who don't know, tape baking is a technique where the magnetic tape is subjected to a kind of treatment inside a kind of an oven and a controlled humidity. So one of the reasons why the tape degrades over time is because sometimes the magnetic elements get stuck to the back of the other tape that's on top of it, because it's all rolled up in a neat roll. And also the water, the humidity that gets into the tape. So when you bake the tape, part of that layer of magnetic tape that's been stuck on the back of the other loop gets put back onto the magnetic tape, and also the humidity is taken out. So it becomes a little better quality. I think one of the movies that was restored this way was the work print of Alien 3.
I was about to say that, because Russell even mentioned that at the screening we were at. He said, the worst case scenario, we'll have to go and do what we did with Alien 3. So that made me think, I've seen that, and that's actually quite good quality.
Yeah. It's really hard to tell the difference. Not really hard, but it's very close.
No, yeah. But that if they can do that as well as the Alien 3 one, that will look acceptable.
Yes. And it also, we can't forget that Phil and Sarah Stokes are working on a book about the production process of Nightbreed. So that's also something to look forward to.
Yeah. And we hear there's a documentary film being made as well about the whole thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And, so I think the final product, there's a whole lot of speculation on what's going to be, but what we know that they're aiming for is a double disc Blu-ray set that has a high definition version of the original theatrical movie and the Cabal Cut in whatever form that's going to take.
Well, it's about time. I don't know if you're aware.
It's kind of hilarious, though, isn't it?
What were you going to say?
No, just thinking, we're basically at the moment convincing a studio that we want to give them money.
Yeah,
and they're like, just give us a product and we'll give you the money.
Yeah,
and it's funny how we were all celebrating when Morgan Creek said that they were going to give us, or Occupy Midian, and Russell and Mark permission to raise money to make the movie. And that's it's funny the world that we live in now, that we would think that was a neat thing, like that's great.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, we're giving you permission to do our job for us.
Yeah,
it's the complete no-risk thing for the studio. They're just like, well, if you guys get the interest, you guys advertise it, you guys make it good, and then we'll just say, okay, you can do that, and then we'll take the money.
It's definitely better than just a flat-out no.
Yeah, they could have just said, you know what, that movie was a flop, and we don't want anything to do with it, so no, forget it. But I think, but they are seeing that there's a market.
Absolutely.
Well, absolutely. Well, they never even released the DVD over here in the UK.
No.
Yeah. Isn't that's so crummy?
Yeah.
It's been on TV.
It's been on TV over here, but it's no DVD. It's crazy. It's so weird.
I think in Portugal, we had Nightbreed come out on rental VHS, but I don't think it ever came out in a direct sale tape or even DVD. So yeah.
Well,
I remember seeing it at rental VHS as well, but I don't remember seeing it in a shop to buy as a VHS. No. But we definitely had that. We definitely had the VHS at some point.
Well, yeah, I actually bought the rental VHS from a video store back in the 90s after they were like, well, this movie has run its allotted time, so I'm thinking about selling it. Do you want to buy it? I was like, yes. And luckily it was not that used, sadly. So I ended up buying the movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
My first one was on Laserdisc.
Haha.
I still have it. Have the Laserdisc now, but
yeah.
I've got Hellraiser on Laserdisc, but it was an impulse buy on eBay. I haven't got a Laserdisc player, but I've got the disc up on my shelf.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Which one do you have? Do you have the one with the picture of the discs on the sides, or do you have the box set one?
I've got the big box set with the signed script in it from Clive.
Oh yeah, that's really
gorgeous box set.
That's a really nice set.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
It's got the raised pinhead profile on the cover.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It looks
so
awesome.
I had to buy it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah,
That looks amazing.
but anyway,
So, what do you? I mean, Crystal said you just got into Nightbreed through your fiance, yeah?
Yeah.
Initially, but did you have any interest in other Clive Barker stuff, or was that just a complete new thing? Because obviously we're all like chatting like we know about Clive Barker and we love him, but like, is this completely new to you, or were you into
It's
Clive Barker
very
before?
new to me. He introduced me to Clive Barker when we were dating through Weave World. That's the first book I read, and I'm slowly reading more and more of his stuff, and I love it. And I've been introduced to a few more of his movies. Richie's had me watch Midnight Meat Train and Dread, and I haven't watched the Hellraiser yet, but
Oh
it's
man!
on the
You're
agenda.
talking about the
Come on.
Hellraiser podcast people right now.
You watched Red?
I can't.
That's crazy.
I can't believe you've watched Dread before you watch Hellraiser 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Well, you got a treat coming to you.
I'm really happy for you because you've got that first viewing to look forward to. That's
Yeah,
brilliant.
we're in the middle of moving, so it's packed up in a box somewhere, and I would have watched it already. So
So I think in one of your episodes, didn't you say it would be interesting to watch the movies in reverse chronological order? So
Yes.
that they go from terrible to good?
Yeah.
Not that story.
I don't think I could. I don't think I could watch
I think you
Hellraiser
could
Revelations
stick it out,
again.
no.
Yeah.
But if you watched Revelations and then Hellworld, you probably would want to give up then.
Yeah. You give up then. No,
Hellraiser
what's the first
Revelations
one?
makes me hit things while I'm watching it. Or when I watched it, I was actually punching the chair that I was sitting in.
oh no,
You say
that's
that
awful.
there's been a big debate in fandom about which is worse, Revelations or Hellworld, and it seems to be people prefer Revelations to Hellworld.
I don't understand.
That,
I don't
that
agree.
makes no sense to me. I mean, I don't like either one, but... Oh.
Yeah, I disdain them both, so that's
That
fine.
is an
Yeah.
interesting question. yes.
Revelations didn't look like a real movie.
No, it didn't.
No.
And the acting was so poor that I could barely watch it.
Well, Revelations looked like, for me, like if some students at school, they were like, okay, you can do a little video project and get some credit. And they were like, oh, I like Hellraiser. I'll do like a little Hellraiser film. That's what it seemed like to me.
And
you
they,
know?
and it seemed like they took things from a script, from a remake script, because there were things that happened in Hellraiser that they sort of tried in Hellraiser 1 that they sort of tried to cram into this new story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I would say
the parents all looked like they were the same age as their children.
Yeah. I would say the only redeeming factor between those two movies is that Doug Bradley is on Hellworld. So
Yeah.
that's
Yes,
the only
absolutely.
reason why one
And Lance
movie would be.
Henriksen as well.
Oh,
Yeah, and
Lance
Lance Henriksen, of course.
Well,
yeah.
and Hellworld did look like, I mean, it looked like kind of a corny, typical, early 2000s movie. I mean,
But it was a
had
movie.
I don't know. It had
movie.
kind of the plot wasn't good, but it had an actual sort of plot.
Yeah, it was. I think out of the two, I think Hellworld. We've said it before. Was just kind of fun. It was rubbish. I hated it, but it was kind of funny to watch.
Yeah.
Whereas Revelations made me angry.
Yeah, you can't enjoy that movie. I think that's the difference.
And just going back to Crystal and the fact that she is relatively new to this, I always felt a little jealousy when she told me like, oh, I just watched Nightbreed for the first time like 2 months ago,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to watch the Cabal Cut. I was like, oh my gosh! I watched
jealous.
Yeah, I watched Nightbreed back in '93 or something, and I the same year that I bought the Making of the Film book from that wonderful little book, and ever since '93 I've looked at the pictures on the book, read the script, and I know that there is footage out there that had all this different alternative story, and I was like, when will this come out? Will this ever come out as a bonus on a DVD or something? And it's like, I'd completely lost hope until 2009. And then it's like the tape came up, yay! And then 2009 rolls by, 2010, 2011, and I'm like, well, it seems like the footage is out, but nothing's going to happen to it. And finally, this happens. So I'm really happy now.
I never even considered the fact that it would be released with all the stuff put back in.
When we stood outside the cinema in Leicester Square in London, and we were like, we're going to watch Nightbreed, Cabal Cut, that was really bizarre.
Yeah.
Because we just were like, wait a minute, this is on in a huge cinema here in London. And
yeah, did you see the picture that you took of the line? I mean, you were there, so you know, but geez.
We were there, yeah.
And we had our tickets already, so we were thinking,
we didn't stand.
We didn't join.
Oh, that was just a line to buy tickets?
I think so, or to collect your tickets you had already ordered.
Or just to be excited.
Or just to be excited. Yeah.
I wanted to go to the Leicester Square screening so much at the Empire Cinema, but the Olympics were going on, I think. Well, they finished shortly before the movie.
Well, they're still going. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they just finished, and then the Paralympics started.
Now. Yeah, and it was horribly expensive to fly to London at that time and stay at a hotel. Yeah. It was just crazy. I would have to spend thousands of euros just to go there and watch the movie. So I was like, well, it looks like might have to go to the Manchester one. But, of course, now the Manchester one seems unlikely, too. But who knows? Maybe I can catch another one soon.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. You're trying to see something for the second time, whereas, like, Crystal's got this amazing Hellraiser stuff experience for the first time.
Keep going about that.
I can't even believe it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you to watch it for the first time. I love it. Every time I try and get everybody that I know to watch Hellraiser for the first time, and I've had many different reactions, but I just love, introducing people to Clive Barker's work for the first time, because they always have a really visceral reaction, whether they love it or they hate it. It's always something really big.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's great about his stuff.
That kind of reminds me, actually, Crystal, since you were new to Nightbreed and you hadn't been watching Nightbreed for 20 some years like the rest of us, which voice do you like better for Rachel?
I do not like the dubbed voice.
Okay. Because I'm thinking that a lot of the negative reaction to that is because people are so used to seeing the other version.
Why has there been a negative reaction to the new one?
Yeah, there's been a negative reaction to Rachel's, Catherine Chevalier's real voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that it sounds
I liked it.
Yeah, they felt like it sounded too teenager-ish, maybe. Or
I liked it. I thought it was good because I thought you could have the actual actor's performance, which worked really well.
Yeah, that's why I liked it better.
And we had one guy that posted on the group that he liked Doug Bradley's voice in his German sounding voice better than Doug Bradley's natural voice, and we had to tell him no, that wasn't Doug Bradley, and he says yes it was. Yeah. And we said,
I remember that conversation.
Yeah, we had quite a hard time convincing him that, look, that's not Doug Bradley's voice. Well, no, you guys are trying to replace his performance. It was so good. No, it was not Doug Bradley's voice.
Performance? No.
And it's like, well, who says so? And I said, well, Clive Barker and Doug Bradley say so.
Yeah,
so
and he's like, where's the German guy in the credits? It's like, well, I guess you got us there. I mean, he's not in the credits, but...
Right. Yeah, but then he believed us.
Yeah. He eventually did. He eventually did, yeah.
He eventually realized
he was an idiot.
Yeah, I think, Jose, you found an article or something. You found something with the text in there that said...
Yes, I did find a quote from Clive Barker and another one from Doug Bradley, I think, where they mentioned that, that the voice was dubbed over by a German fellow in the United States. So that was finally was what took to convince him. So, yeah.
If you see the video that's on YouTube where Doug Bradley's re-recording his dialogue for the Nightbreed Cabal Cut.
But this guy believed that video meant that they were just redoing Doug's performance.
Yeah, so he was saying, so he thought that Doug Bradley was going, oh, my original performance was rubbish where I was pretending to be a German, so now I'm going to re-record it. Because it was, oh, now I'll do it better.
Yeah. But wow. I just discovered that I have some notes here about how Occupy Midian evolved since it was created, because it was created on the 26th of March. And the good thing is, I also have here the petition, and it's amazing because the petition was created on March 30th, and in 4 days it had gotten 200 signatures by let me see here. This is March, April. So in another month, it had already reached 800 signatures, and finally on the 8th of April, it had reached 1,200 signatures, which was pretty amazing since it was created on March 30th. Yeah. So it was just crazy. They just picked up on this petition and they just went wild with it, because at the time we also started getting some attention from websites like Shock Till Drop and Fangoria and, of course, Revelations. And that was amazing. And Crystal was one of the first people to start gathering all this online coverage on this website called Scoop It. I'm going to let you pick up on this, Crystal.
It's Scoop It, and it's /bring-back-Nightbreed. We're up to 14 pages worth of articles and blogs and tweets. I think there's about 10 per page. So, I mean, we've got tons of information. And I've tried to read every single article I've posted to make sure I'm not posting something terrible. But sometimes I'll have 30 different articles lined up that mention Nightbreed the Cabal Cut. So I've been skimming them. There's a lot of good ones on there. Yeah.
Every once in a while there's a blog that's, got a negative review.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a less than positive one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was amazing. And of course, Simon Banford, Nicholas Vince were added right at the same day it was created, and then Ann Bobby joined on the next day after we created this. And I have all this stuff on notes here. The first tweet for Occupy Midian Twitter account was on March 30th as well. And Russell and Mark became admins on April 1st. So that was when they became admins. So
and at the same time they were developing they'd been developing the OccupyMidian.com website for a long time. With Christian Francis is the guy who designed that website, and he's the one that has recently put up the store, and he's putting the T-shirts together to sell. Yeah.
It's just been growing and growing, so that's amazing. The whole thing, we couldn't have done this without the fans. I mean, when we were gathering petition signatures, we were trying to reach. Help me out here, Ryan. We were trying to reach 6,000 before June 1st, right?
5,000.
5,000. Yeah, and there were people. We were all of us were devoted to trying to push this on Twitter. Please, spamming the link. Please go to this petition. Please do it. Even Clive Barker retweeted us a few times. And especially there were like 3 people who really, they really went, the extra mile for it. One was Colin Lakativa. The other was Christine and Abigail. These were people who were maxing out the Twitter accounts, tweeting almost 1,000 times a day. I didn't know that you could get, that you had to cool off your Twitter every 1,000.
They ban your account. They stop it.
So they were maxing it out. They were like tweeting 1,000 times a day. Please, vote, go for this petition, and we even had.
Great.
Yeah, that was great. That was wonderful.
Yeah, and they were
didn't Christine get Neil? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No,
didn't Christine even get Neil Gaiman to retweet it?
Yes.
Yes, she did, and we got people like Neil Gaiman, Steve Niles, even the guy from MythBusters.
Yes.
Adam Savage. That was brilliant. That was just amazing.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of people retweet that stuff.
It's kind of cool to find out who's a Nightbreed fan, and it's also really cool to be able to meet all these stars of the movie. I mean, it's weird. All of it. We've had so many more interactions with the stars of Nightbreed, and actually Ann Bobby, out of all of the cast members, she's the most directly involved with Occupy Midian. She came up with the idea of making Occupy Midian signs, where we take a picture of ourselves holding up a sign that, says why you like Nightbreed and why you should occupy Midian.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that was a great idea. I actually think I did the first sign myself, and then you did one, and Roger did another one. It just started picking up. We still have people taking pictures of themselves with signs saying, "I love Nightbreed. I want to see it released. Please, release it on Blu-ray. Occupy Midian." So
and when we were interviewing her, she said that we should do that. So that's kind of where it came from.
So there's definitely a market out there. I mean, I first found out about it through a Hellraiser fan forum. So the Hellraiser community's been talking about it for ages as well.
Yeah, it's compared to Hellraiser, Nightbreed, really got shafted. I mean,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's also too bad that Hellraiser didn't that Clive had sold the rights to Hellraiser, off the bat. So
exactly.
he lost control of it so quickly. But if it were a matter of trying to get an extended version of Hellraiser or a high definition release, but there would be no debate.
Yeah, I think.
No. Well, the thing is though that Hellraiser, as it stands, is like, I think a great, obviously a masterpiece of filmmaking.
Yeah.
Whereas Nightbreed, the original one, you were like, it's really good, and I love it, and it's great, but there was something missing. And when I saw the Cabal Cut, I was like, that is the version.
Film.
That's the film that I want to see.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
That's the thing.
I can see that. We have to take into account also that Hellraiser is a much more simple story than Nightbreed was. It's just a simple Faustian tale where you have a very limited amount of characters. So it works very well. It's just a beautifully crafted little story, like you said.
Yeah, really limited sets also.
Yeah. For Nightbreed, I think the problem is, like Russell Charrington keeps saying, it was supposed to be Gone with the Wind with monsters.
Yeah.
It was just too big, and the producers didn't really get it. So I think there's this anecdotal story about Clive Barker being in a production meeting once, and one of the producers asked him, I was reading this, and you have to be careful because otherwise people might sympathize with the monsters. And
absolutely,
And
that's the problem.
Yeah.
That they had.
At least people knew about that. When people watched Nightbreed for years and years, it was always, this is that great film Clive Barker made that the studio messed around with.
Yeah.
And so people knew about that already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's funny because it's like he had bad experiences with studios before, right? And that's why he decided to start directing himself.
Oh, yeah.
And then after what happened on Nightbreed, he said, "I'm not only am I going to direct, but I'm going to executive produce for Lord of Illusions," because, he couldn't trust producers anymore either.
And he wanted his own director's cut on Laser on the contract. So that's what he got.
Yeah.
So I just hope they can locate all this footage, because that's going to be a key element in making sure that we get the final definitive version of the Cabal Cut on a Blu-ray.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's working really hard to make people who don't understand realize that we all love it, we all want it, and everyone's pushing hard to make everybody go, yes, let's get this amazing DVD, Blu-ray, whatever it is going to be.
Yeah.
Get it out there, and we will buy it.
Yeah,
I think that's the message.
and we've been sort of debating a little bit about about localization and stuff, and I'm kind of thinking they should make it region free and just load it up with all different subtitles.
Yeah. That would be great.
Yeah, a lot of Blu-rays are still region free, right? I think. So that would be wonderful. That would simplify things.
Wizardry.
And the distinction between PAL and NTSC isn't really the same as it was back in the 90s, right? I mean...
No.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've had a multi-region video ever since the 80s, so that's not a problem for... I think the Blu-ray thing, it doesn't really have any problems with that. I think.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Also, I am not favorable to any kind of remakes of Hellraiser or Nightbreed. I just wanted to throw this out there because some people are talking about remaking Hellraiser. Some people are talking about, hey, wouldn't it be nice if they remade Nightbreed instead of all of this, Occupy Midian thing?
No.
And I'm like, no, not at all. Absolutely not. No. This is the way to go.
On other discussion groups, too, where they're like, who do you think would be a good director for the remake of Nightbreed? And they're like, oh, Del Toro. And I just kind of stay away from that because I think that sort of steals focus from what really can happen and what, I don't know, remake, it's like who remembers the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, right? I mean, that was sort of controversial at the time that it came out, but I can barely remember anything that happened in that movie now.
Yeah.
Or the remake of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, awful.
Yeah.
Well, the recent remakes have been rubbish.
But at the same time, someone put on a forum a while ago, they said, because I was just like, I don't want a remake of Hellraiser. I don't want it. It's not going to work. But then someone put on a forum, look, if they do remake it, they can't fuck up any more than they already have done. Well, and I was like, I guess so. And maybe I should just loosen the claws and just go, okay, well, if you're going to remake it, fine, whatever. But I'm not really going to be up for it, but if you want to do it.
That's sort of an interesting point, because a lot of the Hellraiser sequels, in a way, are sort of remakes, because they have nothing to do with the other movies.
Yeah.
Especially from Hellraiser 5 Inferno onward.
Yeah.
It was like, they threw out what, they made like a clean slate on Hellraiser 5, and it's like, due to...
Well, I still hold out some kind of hope that maybe if they were to do a remake, it's out of my hands. They're going to do it anyway. It might be good. I don't know.
Good, but it will be something.
You never know, but maybe, I don't know. But I don't hold out much hope for it. To be honest.
Here's my take on this. I think that some people say, remakes they have a good side, which is they draw attention to the original movie. They probably sometimes when people make a remake, then the original movie also comes out again. It's re-released and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is, for example, Hellraiser was turned into a franchise, and it was drained until it was bone dry. Okay, with Hellraiser Revelations, I think that's actually the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And if they do remake the movie, if they do make a Hellraiser remake, well, for one, they're going to have to do something that they're going to change it just enough so that it becomes, fresh and new and original.
And they can never go back, right?
And it's not going to be what we're used to, but I think, for a new generation, that can introduce them to the original series. But that said, even if the remake is good, the remake is just going to be the first step on another process, which will be another sequel, and then they'll get progressively worse again.
Yeah. As with all films, but I would say if by some amazing magic, some crazy director makes a remake of Hellraiser and it's good, and because of that, some kid now watches the original Hellraiser, I will go, yes, job done.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
But do you think that happens? I mean, do you think that teenagers go watch The Hills Have Eyes, or Texas Chainsaw Massacre remakes and go, I'm going to go back and see the originals now?
I think so.
Or do you think they just see that and go, "Oh, that was kind of okay," and then they just go off and do something else?
That happens too.
You get buzzed off a film. If you enjoy a film these days with the internet, you just go, "Wait a minute, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was kind of a cool film." You look at it, you're like, "Oh, there was another one." Yeah. You might watch it with your friends. You might think, "Oh, I don't know, but it's good." But you got access to it now.
Yeah, I think that happens to us too.
It also depends on the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about stupid kids.
Yeah. Well, for example, I saw the original movie The Fly with Vincent Price because I saw Cronenberg's remake of The Fly.
Yeah, me too. Actually, when I was a kid, I watched the original one because I'd seen the remake. So
I saw the black and white Night of the Living Dead because I saw Tom Savini's 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Exactly. Me too. Exactly. There you go. We proved it. It works.
We've proved that remakes are only good in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
We proved that if someone tomorrow makes a brilliant Hellraiser remake that everyone enjoys in the modern world, that someone somewhere will go on the internet and go, wait a minute, what's this other Hellraiser? And they will watch it. And one small child will enjoy it.
Small children shouldn't be watching Hellraiser.
Hey, I watched it when I was a small child. And look how I am. It's okay.
Well, a Hellraiser remake is going to be, it's going to be totally Americanized, right? I mean, it won't be the same thing.
Yeah. It'll be full of pretty young teenagers who are played by 30-year-olds getting picked off one by one.
Yeah.
Well, about that thing about little kids watching Hellraiser, I have to share this story because it's really cute. It's because I had a nephew. When he was a kid, he was like 2, 3 years old, 4 years old, and I have a lot of Hellraiser stuff. I have a lot of memorabilia. I have some props. I have Lylesburg medallion from Nightbreed. I actually own the original prop, and I have a bust of Nyx from made by Steve Johnson from Lord of Illusions.
Oh wow!
It's got the head and the shoulders, and then it has a little white hood draped all over it. It's got a little wooden base. So, and my brother owns the bust of Pinhead made by Bob Keane. That I think there's like a handful of those in the world. One of them is on Planet Hollywood or something. You can find that if you look up on Cenobite.com on the collectible section. There's like one of those busts there. And the thing that my nephew used to love, just looking and touching on the Pinhead thing because it had pins on it. And he would I would pick him up, hold him next to the Pinhead bust, and say, "Hey, look, this guy got pins in his head," and he would just laugh his head off. It's just he wasn't afraid of it at all. He would just laugh, and that's my story. I mean, yeah. So I hope I didn't scar my nephew for life. But
corrupting young people.
Well, we forget though. Sometimes over here we forget that, of course, Hellraiser was released as an R-rated film, so kids could go and see it at the cinema.
Yeah, as long as they've got their parents with them.
Well, exactly. Yeah. But it could be a very irresponsible parent or an older brother. But over here, you could not see it unless you were over 18.
Yeah.
But that's how the whole R rating system is. Kids can see the most horrific things if they've got an irresponsible adult with them.
Absolutely.
Yay!
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's here. Well, nowadays, I mean, the rating system doesn't really work anymore, does it? I mean, at least in my country, I'm pretty sure that with the multiplexes and all that stuff, you can just buy a ticket for Pixar's latest movie, and you can just go in there and do the old switcheroo, go into like the Hostel 3 or something like that. I mean, there's really nobody paying attention to that.
Yeah, it's the same. That's the same thing in the U.S. too. I mean, nobody. Yeah. They don't guide you to your seat. Once you buy your tickets.
No.
Anyway,
you might have to stand in a corridor for a while eating popcorn.
Yeah,
but you will get there.
2 or 3 movies if you want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking really forward to seeing finally the Cabal Cut, and I feel like I've seen it already because I've seen so much. I've heard so much from everybody involved in this, and everybody discusses the movie with me, even though I haven't seen the movie. I've read the script so many times. I feel like I've seen the movie in my head.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's a very. I would say it's a very emotional experience. When I watched it, I wasn't prepared. I thought this would be a great, addition to Nightbreed. I thought, okay, this will be, something quite good, but. Actually, I really got caught up in it again, and it really moved me. It was really good. It was a really great film, and it was something that I didn't expect. I didn't expect it to be that good.
I heard Simon Bamford got all teary-eyed when he was watching the movie.
Yeah. We spoke to him afterwards, and he said he had a little cry.
Yeah.
Well, best of luck to see it in the near future.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So really looking forward to this. And it was great being involved with Occupy Midian. It was great that we got this thing, helped this get started, and that we
really well.
Gave it a little push along the way to promote this. And there's been so many people helping out. Everybody that's a member of Occupy Midian is, it's an amazing, it's pushing forward to this, to make this happen. And so many people that have helped. It's just crazy. It's just all these fans sharing a common passion in order to help fulfill this, this vision that Clive Barker had 21 years ago, 22 years ago. So it's just amazing. I'm really hoping to hold this in my hand one day as a Blu-ray and say, okay, we helped this thing happen, and now I can sit down and watch it and fall asleep in the middle of it. No, I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
I'm sure you'll get there. Yeah. And well done to everyone involved with Occupy Midian. It's really great.
Yeah. It's good.
And thanks for talking to us today as well. It's been great talking to you guys.
Yeah, it was.
I'm really
looking
forward to your episode at the Hellraiser house with Nicholas Vince.
Yeah.
So do we. We haven't done it yet. So.
Do you guys have any more radio productions or audio productions planned?
We get questioned quite a lot. Yes. The quick answer is yes, of course. The long answer is not for a while, because it needs to be of a certain quality. And the one we did took us quite a long time to hone it and get it right. So it's going to be a case of when we get the script right for the next one. And of course, you hear this in the movie world as well. It's all about the script. And once that's right, then we'll look at producing it properly. So definitely yes at some point, but we can't give any sort of time frame just yet, because we both work full time as well, so it's hard to get the time to actually do this thing properly.
Who was the main actor for your last one?
He's a guy called Simon Kane.
Oh, Simon.
He does a lot of comedy things, but he's a fantastic actor.
He's a very lovely man,
really,
and everyone was very scared by him in that radio thing.
Yeah.
Your production, Piercing the Veil, was the best Hellraiser sequel I've seen or heard in comparison to like half of the Hellraiser sequels that we got in the movie.
That's lovely.
I was kind of when I was listening to it in my car, and I was thinking, oh, here we go, because like. A fan thing, and but I was actually finding myself getting scared and going, "Wow, this is really good," and getting nervous, like the part with the when he was going to kill that girl for the first time. I feel, oh man, I don't want to hear this. This is scary.
We had people telling us they listened to it late at night with all the lights off, listening to it on headphones, and they did actually get quite scared in their houses. And that was the plan. It was supposed to be a horror play, so good. I'm glad. Good job.
Yeah, I was listening to it on my iPod, and I was like, well, let's see what this is about. And I got it started. I hear the Cenobite torturing the poor tortured soul, and it's going like, well, don't worry, you won't choke to death. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And the hairs on my arms were getting all bumpy, and I was like, oh, this is good.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
Well, thanks, guys. That means a lot. We're gonna keep doing them. We're gonna keep with that. Yeah, definitely.
Please do.
Good. Yeah, we look forward to it.
Awesome. All right.
Cool. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Peter and Phil. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
No worries.
It's very nice speaking with you.
You too. Thanks so much.
Talk to you.
And good luck with the podcast.
Thank you.